The Effect of Brexit on Immigration, Part 6. The Remoaner argument is also disproved by trends within the EU itself. My source for these figures comes from Eurostat. In 2021, the same year we left with a deal, immigration to EU countries from outside the bloc went up by 18%. In 21 out of 27 countries studied, non-EU immigration made up the majority of immigration. In Spain, it was 80%. These figures have been worsened, of course, by the migrant crisis, in which Spain is at the point of entry. Non-EU migration was also very high in Slovenia and Lithuania, and this was before the Ukraine war. In 2023, meanwhile, 25 out of 27 countries studied had majority non-EU migration, going by country of previous residence at least. Ireland's level was noticeably high. From this cursory research, I am willing to bet the non-EU numbers were always high, while the bloc has existed and before it. Non-European immigration is, then, an issue that has spanned the decades and affects the whole continent of Europe. Our situation is especially bad, I will concede that. But I repeat, although it was something that was likely to happen, it did not have to. It was allowed to occur by incompetence or by design. Using the same logic, we did not have to rely on cheap labour at all, from the EU or anywhere else. It was always a lazy, neoliberal choice that we made, and when Blair first upped the immigration numbers in 1997, it was fueled by an ideology against native tradition and demographics. I am not so wedded to the Brexit process that I will not criticise elements of it or figures associated with it. I try to be subjective as far as I can, despite ultimately being partisan on the matter. If there are compelling adverse effects, economic or social, I will admit it, but I won't just accept claims of adverse effects if there is flimsy evidence.
We've seen with Brexit, under every single metric, our country is poorer. It's a fact. You know, we've been duped. We've been duped as a nation. Brexit was the biggest con to enforce economic sanctions on ourselves, and it's affected every single facet of life, and that's a fact. And I know there's a lot of Brexit remorse for our closest trading partner, and we've lost so much because of it, and we're suffering because of it, and that's a fact.
We see this cited on many subjects, from GDP to inflation to the sewage system to availability of medicines and produce in supermarkets. I'm yet to see anything to fully indict Brexit. Any hard figures that are not projections, any occurrence that doesn't have another cause. And even if there do turn out to be adverse effects of the process, it does not mean that the decision to leave was wrong. Lockdowns had a lot of adverse effects, but to those who supported them, they were necessary. Joining or staying in the EU caused problems, but to the Europhiles, it was worthwhile. To recap, Brexit may have influenced the conditions that have led to higher immigration, and indeed the particular kind of immigration that is coming. However, there are other more significant causes for it, and the buck stops with the governments that have ruled since our departure. All Brexit did was give them the responsibility again, subject to the occasional direction of the electorate. They all chose to continue engaging in mass immigration, just as they had when within the EU, on the behalf of economic stability and the big business donors. The Conservatives, in particular, conned the voters by claiming in 3 manifestos they would significantly limit it, a tactic Labour are now attempting themselves. These people have to understand that the electorate overwhelmingly doesn't want mass immigration, whatever selective polling might say. They must comprehend that it is the cause of most of our ills, and that something tangible must be done to break the reliance on it. Just making the right noises thrown up by a focus group is not enough. Until this happens, nothing will change.